So the plan for this has changed a couple of different times. First I thought I was going to thread an axle all the way through here and hook the two wheels together. But when I got to looking, that one is 5/16. This one is 3/8. So I couldn't make an axle go all the way across unless I used the 3/8 and did a taper cut, which I really didn't want to do. Plus, down to 5/16 is pretty narrow. And then I did this piece, which are those quick connect air hose. This is a lawnmower, out of that lawnmower, front shaft, front axle, and I just welded those air hose quick connects, and I had that mounted up there, which worked pretty well. Went down the road not too bad. Stayed pretty true. Basically it just allowed you to pop the wheel in. I probably can't do this one-handed. Let's see if I can. There we go. And that worked pretty well. I was planning on tack welding these little guys here to my green frame, but you can't buy, or at least I couldn't find, these little quick connect things without this plastic center. See if I can get you there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but they have like a little plastic center in them, and what happened is I tried to find some metal ones. They used to make metal ones that had springs inside. That one, I don't know if you can see that or not, but the welding boogered that guy up, and for whatever reason I only got one to work without burning it up, and I kept throwing it in water right after I would tack weld, and I'd throw it in water and I'd tack another weld. So then that allows for this to have just a little bit of slop when it's on the wheel, and I really just didn't like that. So we went with this setup here, and it's just tacked. Added about a pound to the sidecar, unfortunately. So I just tacked that up, and it's roughly where it goes. You can see this line here is where that actually should sit, right up there. So I'm going to put a couple screws back in the green thing inside the sidecar, and then I am going to take those bolts off each side, put this tire in that fork, stand it back up against the sidecar, and see what we've got. And if it looks fairly decent, I probably won't finish weld it tonight, because I want to finish weld it and then flip this side over and grind it, and my neighbors are probably about to call the cops as it is. So we'll mock that up, and then I may get what I've decided to do for the hookup to the sidecar are these two quills, and I'm just going to cut a slit, not all the way through, but at least halfway on both of those. That'll just come in and rest on that green bed frame, so it's going to look something like this. So that frame underneath there sits like that. So that'll go in, I'll groove that out, go in there, and it'll get tack welded first to the frame, and then I'll finish weld it. My nose is running, the temperature's dropped quite a bit. So I'm not going to worry too much about getting this guy adjusted exactly where he needs to go, because these swivel, so as long as they're relatively straight like that on the sidecar, we should be fine. We have a little bit of play, so as long as they're both similar, we should be good. So let me get those bolts off of there, get that guy bolted up as best I can, and we will see where we're at and maybe cut and bolt those quills on tonight. So there's that, and I think I've mentioned it on another video, but this is going to have a stroller mode. So there'll be a wheel that pops out on the other side there, and it's going to be stored on a quote luggage rack on the back at an angle, and then you'll pop it off, put it into one of those quick connects. This wheel on a quick connect comes out of the inside of the car, and there'll be some spacers, and I'll probably have to get a wheel that has bearings in it. Maybe not, I don't know, we'll see how this does. Definitely need some spacers in there. And then this is one of those old Yakima, aluminum Yakima wheel racks, super lightweight. So that's kind of what we got mocked up. It looks like it's turned out just a little bit in the front, so I think it's just tack welded. I think the fork needs to be kicked this way to straighten that up a little bit, but for right now we're just going to mock this up and see where those quills need to be cut, and that way I can get all of that done at one time. The nice thing about using a fork too, as opposed to what I had before, is I'm planning on using this coaster brake. I'm going to drill a hole through it, put a cable on it, and when you push down on a brake on the bike, it's going to pull that cable through a pipe and pull down on it. And so this fork will allow me to hook that coaster brake arm back up and not bend the fender support. So let me get that kind of mocked up and set back down next to the car, or next to the bike, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we just need to kind of get it bubbled up as best we can, side to side and front to back. Let's see where we're at here. I can live with that. It's just eyeballing it. It looks like the nose is going down a little bit, but yeah. This needs to come up just a hair. I could measure from the bottom. Let's see how far we can come up here. Let's see where we're at. So we're at the bottom of it's what, 8 1/4. And we're at 10 here, so I want to keep it as level as we possibly can. So let's put one of these guys under here. And this front wheel isn't secured on the inside of the car. Sorry, got my hand in the way there. Let's move it around more than it would ordinarily. So let's see where that puts us. That puts us at 9. 9 3/4. Let's finish the hair more. That's looking pretty close. I'm gonna live with that. Leave the front just a little lower. Yeah, that wheel's definitely chooched in. So it's actually tipping this way too, it looks like. So I'll work on that. Get that straightened up. I like that though. I like that look. So I think if we just bring this out this way, and we still got a little bit of room to play around right there. I think that I can fix that pretty easily. Alright. We probably need to get the bike just a little bit closer, and I'm going to move the bike instead of the sidecar. And I also don't have a rear tire on that. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be fine. So, let's move that bike over. Okay, so I've measured from center line of the bike to the center line of this nose cone, all the way down. Trying to make sure that we're lined up as straight as we can be. And that looks pretty good. It's definitely the best I can do with what I've got to work with. So, drink a coffee and then go under, see what we can do to adjust those. Alright, what do we got here? We get hit on that one at all. I'm gonna have to come closer. That one's just barely gonna hit, so I may move this whole thing over just about an inch. Because I want to cut a groove, like I said. That'll slide over that. Give me a lot better welding surface. And that one's just barely gonna hit too. So we'll slide this whole thing over towards the bike. I don't want to move the bike because I've got it sitting on a block here and a block of wood, a rear tire, just to get some height. Measurements, rough measurements. I'm gonna slide this whole thing over just there. And obviously I want this one to go as far up this way as I can. So about right there probably. And this one I want to go back as far as we can. And I'm on the edge of it here. Hold on just a second. So if we can, I probably need to move my little brace up here in the middle. Yeah, let's do that. Let's move my brace. Right back. Okay, so I decided I wanted the nose to kind of just head down just a hair. And here's what we are side to side. I can move with that, I think. It's up about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/16, something like that. 1/8 of an inch or less. And then this direction, about the same. Front can just go down a hair. So I may just back this little shim off just a little bit. Drop that down. And just a hair more. I've just got a little wedge in there. So that puts us slightly downhill, and I may even go down just a hair more than that, but that is about right. One thing I did do is just kind of throw that fender on there. That's gonna look cool. That's gonna look really cool. It has to go on backwards. That's gonna look good. Okay. So let's see where we are here. You know, I actually think the car itself needs to slide forward a little bit. can't really back the bike up because I got my block set up back there. And I almost knocked the bike over earlier, so I set a tank on the other side of it because I've tried to set it up as straight as I can so we can get a better judge of where it's going to be. You know, we'll be able to slide that a little bit on there, so I'm not going to worry too much about that because that'll be movable. Yeah, let's just see where we are. Oh, it's back under here again. I don't know how good this thing is going to be under here, but... So that one's great. Actually, went to Bloomington Bike Project and I found 2 quill stems that were identical. Which is really fun. Oh man, tight fit for a fat girl. And this one probably could come in a little more. Back as far as we can. Alright, let's go in just inside that metal piece. About right there. That works. And then let's slide this cart over. That's just barely, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just barely inside. Really like to have a little more than that. So let's see if I can slide that over. I'm liking this setup here. I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a lot stronger than what I had before. Dump in my pockets. Alright, let's get that over and I'll change you back on here in just a sec. So we are on the bike today, and that wheel, I had tacked it about like that, and if you put a speed square on it, and I'm not looking at the edge here, just looking at this factory line, and actually I need to scoot it up just a little bit. So looking right there and put this straight, you can see I'm off, so if I kick it out to where that's roughly straight, that's about where we need to be. And that puts us pretty close up here too. What that does though is it creates this big gap. So I've got to fill that or make a bracket or something. So what I was thinking about doing was just dropping that guy in there. That's the leftover parts of the axle. The other option is I could drop a V bracket in part of this piece here, so I may do that because it would be a neater fit. I don't know, I'll think on that in a few minutes. Then I got these marked where I need to notch, and those are going to go on there. So I'll get that stuff ground up and weld it on, and we'll throw this back on the cycle.